Good evening. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Today is December 29th, 2022. And the first item is to call the meeting to order. And next is to start our hearings, since we don't have meeting minutes from last month to approve.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. So Mary Ellen Cooper for a variance under section 5.3.2 of the Tewksbury zoning bylaw for rear yard setback to construct a 13.7 by 10 deck as shown on plans filed with this board. Said property is located at 120 Star Ave, Assessors Map 100, Lot 18, zoned residential. Please have a seat.
Okay.
And name and address for the board, please.
Here, yeah.
Wherever.
Either one?
Either one.
Sure. Good evening, my name is Brian Cooper.
And address, please. Brian?
120, I live in 40 Fletcher Road, Wyndham, New Hampshire.
Okay.
And my name is, I'll spell it, Therese, T-H-E-R-E-S-E, Cooper, and I reside at 120 Star Ave.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, my mother's not able to be here this evening, and she's asked me to speak on her behalf.
She's hospitalized.
I'm sorry.
My mother is 79 years old. She purchased the property new at 120 Star Ave in 1969, shortly after it was built in 1968. At the time it was constructed, the property conformed with the zoning at the time. The deck in question was either original to the house or built shortly thereafter. My mother proposes to replace her pre-existing deck. Let me restate that. My mother proposes to replace her pre-existing non-conforming deck with a new deck of the same size and the same location. She does not intend, nor is she requesting, to make the deck any larger than it had previously been. My mother recently suffered a heart attack and several strokes, making it difficult for her to walk. While she was in the hospital recovering, our family sought to repair her dilapidated deck so that she would have a safe means of egress from her house and be able to return to her home of the last 53 years. At present time, she cannot safely return to her home as there is not a second means of egress from her property. Essentially, we are making 3 requests or points in favor of this request to the board. The first request is as a party aggrieved of a decision of the building inspector. There have been 2 other recent building permits issued on this property where the question of the rear yard setback was never raised as an issue. In 2016, a building permit was issued for renovations to the interior of the home. At that time, there were no issues raised regarding the rear yard setback to the foundation of the home, even though the foundation is closer to the rear yard setback than the proposed deck. In or about 2018, a second building permit was issued for the installation of solar panels at this property. Again, no issue was raised in regards to the setbacks. We assert that the reason that the rear yard setback was not an issue is because the entire dwelling is a pre-existing non-conforming structure as defined by Chapter 40A, Section 6. This is our second point or request. As outlined more fully in the memo, this house has been in the same location since 1968 when it was built. It was the same distance from the rear yard setback then as it is now. The proposed deck is a replacement of a pre-existing deck, which we believe was original to the house or built shortly thereafter. My mother is not seeking to enlarge or change the shape of the deck. We merely want to replace the pre-existing dilapidated deck in the same footprint as before. We are asking the board to find that both the house and the deck are pre-existing non-conforming structures. Finally, our third request, if necessary, is to seek a variance from the setback requirements of Section 5.3.2 of the zoning bylaw. As stated in the memo, there are special conditions relating to the size, shape, and topography of the land, which are unique to this parcel and building, which do not affect generally the zoning district. As you can see on the locus map, this lot is smaller than most other lots in the neighborhood, and it was drawn up as an axe handle, L-shaped, or pork chop-shaped lot. This odd-shaped lot, coupled with the location of the house on the lot, makes it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to comply with the rear yard setback requirements and still line up with the kitchen door coming out of her house for a safe means of egress. This is unique to this lot. There is a hardship to the applicant. As I stated previously, my mother is 79 years old and has lived in the house for 53 years. She currently is staying elsewhere as she is unable to return home because there is no second means of egress from her property. She cannot exit out of the kitchen until the deck is rebuilt. This unsafe condition has and will continue to create a substantial hardship without the requested relief. Granting the variance would not adversely affect the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. It would promote the general welfare of the town and would be detrimental. It would not be detrimental to the welfare of the community or neighborhood by reason of noise, traffic, pollution, or demand on community facilities or services. As previously stated, the petitioner has had the deck of the same size, shape, and location on this property for decades. The average passerby and even the abutting property owner would not notice any difference. Granting the requested relief would actually further the purposes of the zoning bylaw, as the improved aesthetics of the new deck would improve the overall appearance of the property and neighborhood as a whole. I'd like to thank you all for your consideration.
It's 5.3. We go back. We're gonna do 5.3.
Right, yeah, right.
Here, do you want his? He's already there. Page 35.
When you're looking at it, 5.3.
That's what we're supposed to be looking at.
My question to you, sir, is, it seems like you just want the deck to be built. We understand that you're just replacing something that's already there.
Correct.
Why are you coming as a party aggrieved? Do you not agree with that it's supposed to be 15 feet away?
Because of the odd-shaped lot, and you look at I brought with me the surveyed map, which I believe you guys have as well.
Yep. I understand all that. A party aggrieved, I'm sure you know this, means that you think you should be able to build it with nothing. You don't think you need a variance. The party aggrieved is you disagree with the determination of the building commissioner, and you want us to overturn his decision.
Yes, because the way the house was built with the door,
Yep,
if you do the offsets off the property line, even the door to exit her kitchen would not satisfy those setbacks.
I agree with that. But that was back when the house was built in 1968. And nothing outside, nothing has been built on the property since then.
Correct.
So now you are an existing non-conforming. I honestly think you need a special permit, but if they want to give you a variance, if I were you, I'd go for a variance and be done with it, not a party aggrieved.
Okay.
That's, because I think we all agree that you need something,
Yep.
right? Because now the house was built in the 60s,
Yep.
where there wasn't much for zoning and nobody really followed it anyways. I understand you got the axe-shaped lot, you're a perfect candidate for a variance, not a party aggrieved.
Okay. Then can I get a variance?
I personally don't see why you couldn't. You're here.
Okay.
It's not entirely up to me. And there's no reason I can see, because you were advertised as a party aggrieved for setbacks. So it's been advertised. You're actually advertised here for a variance, but your application. Where did I read that? I think your application said party aggrieved.
Yeah, on section one.
I read it somewhere.
One C, it says.
Yeah, you checked off party aggrieved.
This is the first time I've had to do something like this, if I check
No,
if I.
I understand. All right, so you're actually here for both. So we'll just forget the party aggrieved then. I have no more questions.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to add?
I guess my next question, what are the next steps?
Well, we have to wait and vote and then.
No, I get that, like, do I have to provide any further documentation, building,
No?
deck plans to you or anything like that?
No?
Okay. Thank you all for your time, I appreciate it.
Sure, no, we're not done yet.
You're not done yet.
Oh, okay.
It being an open hearing, is there anybody who'd like to get up and speak?
Mark Kratman, 101 Merrimack Meadows Lane, Tewksbury. I'm here to request that you really give great consideration to giving them a variance for this property. Not only are we taking care of a senior that's been living in our community for 50-some-odd years, but we're talking about a family that's done nothing but great things for our community. We're talking about a family of nurses, especially what we've just gone through in the last couple of years. Worked day and night. They're all nurses. They've done things to the community. They're members of the Lions Club. They volunteer. They give everything. I can't imagine a family that gives more to this community than this family does. And now when we have somebody in need, this is exactly why we created this, this process to, take care and give variances to people that need it. There's no one in the neighborhood that's opposed to this. Nobody, they all love the person that's living there. This is just simply building something that's gonna let her get back in her home. She's had some real serious health issues over the last year. She's had a stroke, she's had broken bones. She needs to get back into her home. She needs to get someplace where she can get well, get better, and I really hope that the town really takes that into consideration, takes care of the people that have taken care of us. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move.
Okay,
That we, I'll move for a variance under section,
how about we close both?
close both, all right, let's do that then.
I'll second that
Close.
motion to close both parts.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Somebody want to make a motion to approve? And I think the voting members should be the three of us. Joe, Rob, and myself.
Okay, I'll make a motion for approval for a variance under section 5.3.2 of the Tewksbury zoning bylaws for rear yard setbacks to construct a 13-foot 7-inch by 10-foot deck as shown in plans filed on this board. Said property is located at 120 Star Avenue, Assessors Map 100, Lot 18, zoned residential. Let's have a little discussion about this
Yeah,
before we make a vote on that. Do we,
we want to ignore that.
well, it's not listed,
It's not listed as
it's
to
not
why we're
listed
here.
here.
So maybe we just state that we're,
I don't even think we have to mention it.
I don't think so.
Because it's not here.
No,
This
no.
is the important.
well, that's what I figured. But if you want to mention it, because it is checked off to cover all grounds, we could.
I'm willing to waive that if you want.
I'm sure you are. Okay, also just a side note on my motion is to waive Part C of the application, Part 1-C as a party aggrieved That's no longer needed. Let's go with
Okay.
that motion.
I'm in favor of that.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
you're approved.
You're all set.
Thank you.
You're all set.
Goodbye.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great New Year.
Thank you.
You too.
Do you want one of us to stay? for-
No, we're all set. You should hear back from the office so you can contact them.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Good luck. Okay, any old business? New business? No. Next meeting is going to be held January 26, 2023. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.